Reporters walk into a sit-down with Dolly Parton armed with a list of careful, pre-approved questions. They walk out having lost control of the conversation somewhere around minute 2, and they usually don't mind because she made them laugh the whole way down. What makes Parton different from other celebrities who lean on self-deprecating humor is timing. When an interviewer edges toward a touchy subject, her body, her age, her politics, she doesn't wait to be asked. She gets there first, turns it into a line, and leaves nothing behind for anyone else to pick apart. For decades, tabloids have speculated about her surgically enhanced look, and for decades she's answered with some version of the same idea, that it costs real money to achieve a look that reads as cheap and glittery. The line does double duty. It owns the artifice instead of denying it, and it leaves critics with nothing new to say. Her figure has drawn the same tabloid fascination since the 1970s, and she's mined for material just as reliably, including a much-repeated bit about being the first woman to burn her bra, joking it took firefighters days to put the blaze out. It's silly on purpose, and it works because she tells it like she's letting the audience in on the joke, rather than absorbing one at her own expense. Even the dumb blonde label became fair game. Her go-to response is that she isn't offended by the jokes because she knows she isn't dumb, and she'll add with a beat, she isn't blonde either. 2 punchlines, 1 sentence, and a tired stereotype dismantled before a follow-up question can even land. Fitness questions get the same treatment. Rather than pretend she has a rigorous gym routine, she's compared herself to a show dog that just needs to stay clipped and presentable, and cheerfully admitted she skips conventional exercise altogether. What she credits instead is the physical release she calls rejoicing, the shouting and clapping she grew up doing in Pentecostal services back home, which she's described as the closest thing she has to a morning workout. Her most famous magazine cover gets recycled the same way. When talk surfaced of recreating her 1978 Playboy shoot for her 75th birthday, she didn't dodge the question of whether she were the same bunny outfit. She simply noted deadpan that some things hadn't changed. Asked how she still looks the way she does, her stock answer credits good lighting, good makeup, good doctors, and a good attitude in roughly equal measure, with an aside that at her age she'll probably always look about the same, just with a bit more hair and makeup added over time. Even her nearly 6-decade marriage to Carl Dean, who passed away in 2025, got folded into the bit. She shared that her husband had a nickname for her, Catfish, for being all mouth, a tease that could sting from anyone else but delivered with her grin, plays like the punchline to a very long-running private joke she's happy to make public. Politics is where most public figures clam up. Parton has spent nearly 40 years fielding the "would you ever run for office" question and turning it into some of her most quoted material. In a 2023 interview, asked directly about a presidential run, she waved it off, joking that the country had already had enough people in charge who weren't quite up to the job, and added with a wink that maybe she was too smart for politics rather than not smart enough. It's self-deprecating, even-handed, and sharp all at once, which tracks with her long-standing refusal to alienate any part of her audience. She'd used a version of the bit years earlier. In 2016, after comments about a female president got taken out of context and reported as an endorsement, she released a statement that read like both a clarification and a comedy routine, joking about having the hair for the job and predicting the country would suffer from presidential mood swings no matter who won. The controversy evaporated within days. There was nothing left to be outraged about once she'd already turned it into the joke everyone was repeating. She's also built a durable line explaining why she avoids taking sides at all. With a Democrat mother and a Republican father, she calls herself a hypocrite, a made-up word so tidy that reporters still quote it years later. But staying out of partisan politics hasn't meant staying silent on everything. In the summer of 2020, asked directly about the Black Lives Matter movement, she gave an unambiguous answer affirming that Black Lives Matter and questioning why anyone would think otherwise. That same year, she confirmed she quietly renamed her dinner show attraction, dropping Dixie, once she understood the word's painful associations, framing it simply as fixing something once you recognized the problem. She's described her general approach to hard conversations as less like a politician and more like a diplomat, someone who can tell you to go to hell in a way that makes you look forward to the trip. One of her most consistent bits, repeated across 2 decades of interviews, is her explanation for never removing her makeup at night, the logic, as she's told it to outlets from the New York Times' Ellen DeGeneres, comes down to disaster preparedness. A bus wreck, a hotel fire, an earthquake. She'd rather not face any of it looking unfinished. So she cleans her face in the morning instead. She summed up the philosophy as needing to be ambulance-ready at all times. The bit works because it isn't really about vanity. It's about control. The wig, the rhinestones, the hourglass silhouette are costumes she's built on purpose, a character designed to protect the person underneath. Joking about needing makeup on for a natural disaster isn't insecurity. It's a lighthearted way of showing how seriously she takes the armor she constructed for herself. She has drawn one genuine line, though, asked years ago what it would take for the public to see her without makeup. She said only a real emergency, her husband being rushed to the hospital, could do it, and even then she joked she might delay just long enough for lipstick. It's a dark joke wrapped around real devotion, made more poignant now that Carl Dean was her husband for nearly 60 years before his death. No story captures her comic instincts better than "I Will Always Love You." She wrote it in 1973 as a farewell to mentor Porter Wagoner. It became a hit for her twice before Whitney Houston's 1992 version for The Bodyguard became the best-selling single by a woman in music history. Most songwriters might resent watching their signature song become permanently linked to someone else. Asked whether that bothers her, Parton's answer is that Houston can keep the credit as long as she keeps the royalty checks, a line that functions less like a joke and more like a mission statement. Those royalties reportedly earned her around $10 million through the 1990s alone, and she later used part of that money to buy an office complex in a historically black Nashville neighborhood, calling the building the house that Whitney built. Parton, the fourth of 12 children raised in a one-room Tennessee cabin, has never asked for sympathy about her upbringing. She's turned it into material instead. She's described the chaos of that crowded cabin bluntly, including nightly indignities from younger siblings, telling the story with the same rhythm she'd use for a joke about her wig. That same instinct shows up in how she talks about aging, crediting her youthful look to lighting, doctors, and makeup, or attributing her sunny disposition to Botox with a straight face, and in her cooking, which she describes as unpretentious, home-style food inherited from her mother, grandmothers, and aunts. Her running joke about dieting centers on potatoes, French fries, mashed or baked. She said she's never met a spud she didn't like, a line so purely her that a Wired video built around it drew millions of views. She's since built an entire cookbook around that kind of home cooking with her sister, Rachel Parton George. Even dessert gets a pun. Asked about her favorite birthday treat, she'll specify chess pie and quickly clarify the spelling, just in case anyone's mind wanders somewhere else.